You ever wake up one morning, stretch your arms, feel the light pouring in through the curtains, and just pause for a second, thinking, how did we get here so fast? One moment you're raising kids, running errands, working that 9 to 5, or more like 8 to 6. And the next thing you know, the house is quieter, the calendar isn't as full, and you're wondering, what does this next chapter look like for me? Now, don't get me wrong. There's something really beautiful about this phase of life. A kind of freedom you don't get in your 30s or 40s. You've earned your wisdom, your laugh lines, your stories. But here's the thing no one talks about enough. Even though the pace of life might slow down a little, our desire to live fully doesn't go anywhere. In fact, for many of us, it gets even stronger. And that's where independence and confidence come in. Because let's be honest, there's something deeply satisfying about being able to take care of yourself, to make your own decisions, to move through the world with ease and purpose. Not because you have to prove anything, but because you still can. And that, my friend, is powerful. But it doesn't just happen by accident. After 60, staying independent and feeling confident in your own skin, it takes intention. Not perfection, not some wild overnight transformation, just small, thoughtful choices every day. Think of it like tending a garden. You don't plant one seed and expect a forest the next morning. You water, you nourish, you check in on it. And over time, that garden becomes a sanctuary. So today, I want to share a few of those little seeds with you. Habits that, when practiced consistently, can keep you standing tall, smiling wide, and living life on your own terms. And I promise you, these aren't complicated. You won't need fancy equipment or a personal trainer or a dozen supplements you can't pronounce. Just a little willingness, a little self-compassion, and maybe even a little curiosity. Let's start with something that may surprise you. How you start your day matters more now than ever before. You might think, I'm retired. I've earned the right to take it slow. And that's absolutely true. But having a gentle, purposeful morning routine can set the tone for your whole day, and your mindset too. I had a neighbor named June. She was 82, sharp as a tack and funny as ever. Every morning she'd make her cup of tea, open her front door, and sit out on her porch for just 10 minutes. Rain or shine. She called it her daily check-in. She wasn't scrolling her phone or watching TV. She was just there. Breathing, listening, watching the world wake up. And she swore by it. She said it made her feel grounded. Present, like she was still part of life, not watching it from the sidelines. And that's what we're really talking about here, not big grand gestures, but the little things that anchor us. A simple stretch before getting out of bed. Making your bed even if no one else will see it. Listening to a favorite old tune while you're brushing your teeth. These aren't just routines, they're quiet declarations. I'm here. I'm still showing up for myself. That's habit number 1. Begin your day with intention. Even 5 minutes of movement or mindfulness in the morning can make you feel more energized, balanced, and, yes, confident. Now let's talk about another habit that can sneak up on you if you're not paying attention: staying socially connected. It might sound simple, but it's not always easy. You see, when we were younger, connection came built in. The workplace, the kids' schools, community events, they kept us naturally surrounded by people. But after 60, that circle can shrink. Friends move, families get busy, and before you know it, a whole week can go by and you realize you haven't really talked to anyone beyond a quick hello at the grocery store. But we are wired for connection. And staying socially engaged isn't just nice, it's necessary. Keeps the mind sharp, the heart full, and yes, the spirit strong. I once met a gentleman named Harold at a local art class. He was 74 and had never picked up a paintbrush before in his life. But he said he wasn't there to become Picasso, he just missed talking to people. And wouldn't you know it, a few months later, Harold had a little crew of friends who'd meet for coffee after class. They'd laugh, tease each other, talk about their kids and their knees, and Harold told me, "This gave me a reason to get dressed in the morning again." And that's the magic of it. Whether it's a class, a walking group, or just calling an old friend once a week, connection keeps us alive. It reminds us that we matter, that our stories are still being written. So if there's someone you've been meaning to reach out to, go ahead and do it. Or if you've been thinking about joining that community garden or local book club, maybe this is the sign you were waiting for. And hey, if this video is already speaking to you, if any part of this makes you feel seen or inspired, go ahead and give it a like or share it with someone you care about. You never know who might need a little encouragement today too. You see, when we talk about independence, we're not just talking about doing everything alone. We're talking about feeling capable, feeling connected, and feeling proud of who we are and where we are. And that pride, it starts with the choices we make daily. So whether it's how you rise each morning or how you stay connected with the world around you, these small habits begin to stack up into something bigger. Something that quietly says, I'm still in charge of my life. I'm still moving forward. And that, my friend, is where the real confidence begins. Let's keep going, because there's more I want to share with you, and I think you're going to really appreciate what comes next. Something I've learned over the years is that confidence doesn't come from big, flashy accomplishments. It doesn't have to come from climbing a mountain or giving a big speech. More often than not, it comes from those quiet victories we experience each day. Getting out of bed on a tough morning. Trying something new even if it scares you a little. Saying yes when it's easier to say no, or saying no when that's what your heart needs. And that brings me to something that's often overlooked but so incredibly important after 60. Moving your body in ways that support your strength and balance. Now, don't worry, I'm not about to tell you to sign up for a boot camp or start lifting weights like a bodybuilder. What I'm talking about is finding ways to stay physically capable in a way that feels good and sustainable for you. Because being able to get up from a chair easily, reach for something on the top shelf, or walk confidently down the street without worrying about a stumble, that's independence. That's what keeps us feeling free and in control of our lives. I remember my Uncle Joe. He was in his early 70s when he first started noticing he was holding onto the railing a little tighter every time he walked down the stairs. At first he laughed it off, said, "Just being careful." But after a while he realized it wasn't just about being cautious. It was about trusting his body. And he wanted that trust back. So he started small. He began with chair exercises while watching the news. A little bit of stretching in the morning. And later he added short daily walks around the block. It wasn't flashy and it didn't happen overnight, but over time Joe started walking taller, moving with more ease. And more than that, he started smiling more. You could see it in how he carried himself, how he spoke. That's what confidence looks like at this stage of life. It's quiet, but it's powerful. There's something deeply empowering about knowing that your body can still carry you, not perfectly, maybe, but reliably. Even 5 or 10 minutes of mindful movement a day, whether it's Tai Chi, stretching, light dancing in the kitchen, or simply standing on one foot while brushing your teeth, can do wonders. Not just for your muscles, but for your mindset. And remember, it's not about comparing yourself to what you used to do. It's about celebrating what you can do today. And building from there, one small step at a time. Now, while we're talking about feeling empowered, let's talk about another habit that makes a massive difference after 60, and this one's all about mindset. We don't often think of confidence as something we can practice, but it absolutely is. And one of the simplest, most beautiful ways to do that is by staying curious. By continuing to learn, grow, and explore, even in small ways. You know that feeling when you try something for the first time and it clicks? When your brain lights up with that little spark and suddenly you feel alive. That doesn't have to stop after a certain age. In fact, it becomes even more important. A dear friend of mine, Barbara, she's 68, decided last year to learn Spanish. Not because she was moving anywhere or had some grand plan, but because she wanted to challenge herself. She told me, "I want to remind my brain that we're not done yet." And every afternoon she'd sit at her kitchen table with a notebook and an online lesson, laughing at herself when she messed up and celebrating when she remembered a full sentence. The joy in her voice when she used a phrase correctly? You'd think she'd just won the lottery. That's what lifelong learning does. It tells your brain, we're still in this. Whether it's a new recipe, a craft, a book that makes you think, or a documentary that opens your mind to something new, it's not just information. It's fuel for confidence. You're not just coasting through life, you're engaging with it. You're telling yourself, I'm still growing. I'm still becoming. And that, more than anything, keeps you independent in spirit. Because when you believe you're still capable of learning, you believe you're capable of handling whatever life throws your way. So, let me ask you, what's something you've always wanted to try but never did? Is there a subject that's always fascinated you? A hobby you put on hold years ago? Maybe this is the perfect time to dust it off and give it a shot. And hey, if you feel like sharing, I'd truly love to hear about it. Go ahead and leave a comment below. What's one thing you're curious about or something new you're thinking of trying? Maybe your story will inspire someone else watching right now. You see, confidence and independence aren't about pretending we're 30 again. They're about showing up for ourselves today just as we are. With grace, with courage, and maybe a little laughter too. It's a funny thing, once you start making these small shifts, they begin to ripple out. You start standing a bit straighter. You make eye contact a little longer. You speak up more often. Not because you're trying to impress anyone, but because you feel grounded in yourself. And that's a beautiful place to be. So whether it's moving your body gently, feeding your mind something new, or simply saying, I'm not done learning yet, you are reinforcing the most important message of all. I still matter. My story is still being written. And I get to choose how it unfolds. Let's keep this conversation going. There's more to explore, more to reflect on, and more ways to keep feeling strong, centered, and confident, no matter what the calendar says. One of the most powerful things about getting older is that you start to see what really matters. The noise fades. The pressure to impress or prove yourself quiets down. And in that calm, something beautiful shows up: clarity. You realize that confidence doesn't come from having all the answers. It comes from being okay with where you are, trusting yourself, and knowing you've already weathered so much. There's a quiet power in that. But here's something I've noticed, and maybe you have too. Sometimes, even with all our life experience, we still struggle with one simple thing: asking for help when we need it. And I get it. We've spent our lives being the ones others depend on. We've raised kids, built careers, supported friends and family. So when the time comes that we might need support, even just a little, it can feel uncomfortable. Like it's a sign of weakness. But let me tell you something I deeply believe. Asking for help isn't a sign of losing independence. It's one of the greatest signs of strength. That brings me to the next habit that keeps us strong, confident, and self-assured. Building a support system that empowers you, not limits you. I want to tell you about Evelyn. She's 76 and lives on her own. Sharp as a whip, full of sass. But a couple years ago, she had a minor fall in the garden. Nothing serious, just a twisted ankle, but it shook her up. What really bothered her wasn't the fall itself, but the fact that she needed her neighbor to help her back inside. At first, she was embarrassed. She told me, I didn't want to be that person, the one people worry about. But after a while, she had a realization: why should I feel bad about being human? And with that shift, she decided to do something so simple but so wise. She created what she called her independence circle. A list of 3 people: neighbors, a niece, and a friend from church, who she could call anytime, no questions asked. And you know what? She hasn't needed to call them very often. But just knowing she can, that made her feel more independent, not less. Because confidence isn't about pretending we can do everything alone. It's about knowing who you can count on, and having the courage to lean in just a little when it counts. So if you're watching this and thinking, I don't want to burden anyone, let me gently challenge that thought. You're not a burden. You're a blessing. And the people who love you, they want to be there for you just like you've been there for others. Building a strong circle of support, whether it's a neighbor, a walking buddy, your doctor, or even a friendly face at the local cafe, isn't about depending on others constantly. It's about creating a safety net, a little web of connection, so that if life throws you a curveball, you're not left floundering. That's how you stay resilient. And if you haven't yet found that circle, start with one person. Just one. Reach out, reconnect, or introduce yourself. You don't need a dozen people. You just need a few good ones. And while we're on the subject of connection, I want to gently remind you of something. You are not invisible. I know society doesn't always do the best job of recognizing our worth after a certain age. The magazines, the ads, the headlines, they're always talking about youth, youth, youth. But let me tell you something I've seen again and again. You carry wisdom and grace that younger folks wish they had. Your story has weight. Your presence has value. And your voice? It deserves to be heard. So let's practice something together right now, advocating for yourself. Whether it's at the doctor's office, in a family discussion, or when making decisions about your health, your finances, or your future, speak up. Kindly, clearly, with confidence. Confidence grows when we remind ourselves that we're still in the driver's seat of our own lives. You can ask questions, set boundaries, and make choices that feel right for you. Don't let anyone make you feel like you're too old to have a say. If anything, your years give your voice more power, not less. A friend of mine, Robert, he's 70 now, told me something a while back that stuck with me. He said, "I stopped asking for permission to take up space. I've lived too much life to sit quietly in the corner." And I love that. Because taking up space isn't about being loud or demanding. It's about owning your place in the world fully and unapologetically. And hey, if you've made it this far into the video, that tells me something about you. You care. You're engaged. You're looking for ways to keep growing, and that deserves a little recognition. So if you haven't already, I'd love for you to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notifications. Not just so you don't miss the next video, but because it means we're creating a little community here. One that supports you, encourages you, and reminds you that you are not alone on this journey. See, the habits we've been talking about, they're not just actions. They're ways of telling ourselves, I'm still here. I still matter. I still have things to do, people to love, and moments to enjoy. And it's never too late to strengthen that foundation. So whether it's creating a small support system, allowing yourself to ask for help, or simply standing tall and speaking your truth, you're nurturing a kind of confidence that doesn't fade with time. It deepens, it softens, and it shines brighter because it's been earned. Let's keep going. There's more I want to share, and I have a feeling you're going to love what's coming next. You know, one of the most comforting things about life after 60 is realizing that the pressure to chase and chase and chase finally quiets down. You're not proving anything to the world anymore. You've done that. You've shown up, you've worked hard, you've given love, solved problems, built a life. And now is the time for something richer, something deeper, peace of mind. But peace doesn't just happen. Just like confidence, just like independence, it's something we cultivate. And one of the most overlooked ways we do that is by creating a sense of order and intention in our daily lives. I know it doesn't sound all that exciting at first, but stick with me, because this habit might just be the one that ties it all together. Let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed how much lighter you feel after tidying up just a small corner of your space? Or how much more at ease you feel when your day has a gentle rhythm to it, like your morning tea, a quiet walk, maybe writing in a journal before bed? That's not just about being neat or organized. That's about reclaiming control. It's saying, this is my space. This is my time. And I get to shape it in a way that supports me. See, after 60, life shifts in subtle ways. We may retire. The kids may move away. The daily responsibilities that once filled our calendars, those might ease up a bit. And while that freedom is beautiful, it can also feel, well, a little disorienting at times. Days can blend into each other. We might find ourselves wondering, what do I do with all this time? And the answer isn't always to fill every hour with something productive. Sometimes the answer is simply to live with intention. To create little rituals and routines that make you feel grounded, centered, and in charge of your day. I remember my friend Gloria. She's 72 and has this lovely way of structuring her mornings. Every single day, she lights a candle, makes her coffee, and reads a poem. just one. That's her ritual. She says it helps her mind wake up gently and reminds her to start the day with beauty instead of stress. Isn't that lovely? That small, intentional act gives her a sense of rhythm and meaning. And when she moves through the rest of her day, whether she's running errands or meeting a friend, she carries that grounded energy with her. She feels more confident, more present, more in tune with herself. And that's what this habit is about, creating little anchors in your day that remind you you are in control. You are the author of your time. Whether it's setting out your clothes the night before, preparing your meals with love, keeping a to-do list, or even just opening the windows to let in the morning light, it all sends a message to your brain. I matter. My days have shape. My life has rhythm. Now let me be clear. This is not about being perfect. It's not about having a spotless house or sticking to a rigid schedule. It's about creating a gentle structure that supports you. And it can look however you want it to. For some people, it's having a small weekly planner. For others, it's maintaining a peaceful space, clearing out clutter, donating things that no longer serve a purpose, and creating a home that feels like a retreat, not a storage unit. And for some, it's as simple as having a meaningful routine. A walk after breakfast, a quiet afternoon rest, a phone call with a friend every Thursday. You see, routines help reduce stress. They help your brain conserve energy so it's not constantly wondering, what next? And when your mind is less cluttered with decisions, you feel more capable, more calm, and yes, more confident. So if you've been feeling a bit scattered or overwhelmed lately, maybe it's time to take a gentle look at your days. Is there one small routine you could create that would help you feel more settled, more organized, more in control? Even something as simple as laying out your medications the night before, or keeping a little basket by the door for your keys and glasses, can bring peace of mind. Because the more ease we build into our daily lives, the more energy we have for the good stuff, for the conversations, the walks, the laughter, the creativity. And speaking of creativity, I want to share something important here, something a lot of people overlook after 60. Your inner spark. That little voice inside that still wants to create, to express, to connect in ways that light you up. Just because you've passed a certain milestone doesn't mean your creative energy goes away. In fact, for many people, this season of life is when it finally gets the attention it deserves. You're not chasing paychecks or raising kids anymore. You get to ask yourself, what brings me joy? Maybe it's painting. Maybe it's writing that memoir you've always dreamed about. Maybe it's sewing or gardening or learning the ukulele. The what doesn't matter, the feeling it brings you does. That sense of expression, of playing, of discovering. You'd be amazed how much confidence and independence come from creating something with your own hands, your own mind, your own heart. It reminds you that you're not just consuming life, you're shaping it, you're participating. So whether it's through structure, creativity, or simply taking ownership of your time, the message is the same. You are not drifting. You are choosing. And every choice you make, no matter how small, is a step toward a more confident, fulfilling life. It's never too late to start. Whether you're 60, 70, or 90, you can build habits that support your strength, your independence, and your joy. And if today is the first step, well then, what a beautiful beginning. Let's keep walking this path together. There's just one more piece of this conversation, and I think it might be the most important one yet. There's something so special about finishing a good conversation, isn't there? That feeling of fullness, not from food, but from connection. And if you've been here with me through this entire video, then that's exactly what we've had, a conversation. Just you and me sharing thoughts, stories, and little sparks of wisdom about living well after 60. You know, when we talk about independence and confidence, especially in our later years, it's easy to focus only on the physical things. Staying active, eating well, keeping our homes safe. And those are so important, of course. But there's another layer to all of it, one that's even more powerful, how we see ourselves. Because confidence? It doesn't live in muscles or balance or checklists. It lives inside you. It's the way you talk to yourself, the way you hold your shoulders, The way you respond to challenges or speak your truth or take joy in the smallest wins. It's not about pretending everything's perfect. It's about reminding yourself, I've made it this far and I'm still going. And isn't that something to be proud of? So before we part ways today, I want to leave you with something more than just a summary. I want to leave you with a feeling. One that you can carry with you even when the screen turns off and the day gets quiet again. It's the feeling of knowing your worth. You are not behind. You are not fading. You are not done. The world might not always recognize the beauty and power of aging, but that doesn't mean you stop shining. In fact, this stage of life, this chapter, it's yours to write. And you get to write it with the same courage, humor, and heart that got you through every other one. You've learned how to keep your body moving not because someone told you to, but because you know how good it feels to move with purpose. You've learned that connection, real connection, isn't about being surrounded by crowds, but about having even one or two people you can truly count on. You've found the value in creating routines, in nurturing peace, and holding space for yourself each day. You've even begun to notice that asking for help doesn't take anything away from you. It actually gives you more confidence, more freedom, more power. These habits? They're not just tools. They're love letters to yourself. They say, I am worth taking care of. I still have dreams, laughter, and light inside me. I still have things to do. And I believe that with my whole heart. Aging isn't a slow fading, it's a deepening. Like a well-worn book that's been read and loved so many times, the pages are soft, but the story? Oh, the story just keeps getting better. So wherever you are in your journey, whether you feel strong and steady or you're still finding your way, I want to tell you, you're doing beautifully, truly. And if this video touched you, even in the smallest way, if you felt seen or uplifted or maybe just comforted by the reminder that you're not alone in this, you can do me a little favor. Click that like button. Leave a comment below. Or share this with someone you care about. You never know who might need this message today. And if you haven't yet, I'd love for you to subscribe and join this growing little community of people who believe in living fully at every age. Because that's what we're doing here. We're not just talking about health or habits. We're reclaiming the idea that after 60 isn't the end of the road, it's a whole new path. So here's to you, to your strength, your softness, your humor, your fire, your wisdom, your stillness. Here's to the quiet mornings and the bold new steps. Here's to falling in love with your own life again, at 60, 70, 80, and beyond. You are not shrinking. You are expanding. And I'm honored to walk this road with you. Take gentle care of yourself and remember, you've got this. Here's to living your best life at any age. I'll see you in the next one.
Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. It truly means a lot. If you found this video helpful or inspiring, please give it a thumbs up. Share it with a friend or loved one who might benefit. And leave a comment below. We love hearing your thoughts and experiences. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on our latest tips and uplifting advice for living your best life at any age. Now, if you're ready for more wisdom and encouragement, just click the video that's on your screen right now. It's packed with even more insights made just for you. Take care, stay positive, and we'll see you in the next one.